for joining us today. I'm super excited. My name is Eryka T. Johnson. I'm a global leadership brand strategist and author, as well as a speaker. And what I'm most passionate about, ladies, is really helping high achieving women, executive level women, women owners, business owners, entrepreneurs, women like you, just really elevate your influence as well as your visibility in the workplace. And because I am an engineer by profession, I also like to work with organizations that are in the STEM industry, particularly the Global 2000 companies in the STEM industry, with designing their gender diversity programs, right? To make sure that we get more women visible, more women to the top, more women to the levels of decision making. And so I do a lot of, through my company, High Pursuit LLC, I do a lot of trainings. I do a lot of speaking engagement, going and speaking before audiences of powerful women influencers in organizations and companies as well. But one of the things that I don't talk often enough about, which is also a visibility tactic, is self-publishing a book, right? There's a number of other things that you can do to make yourself, more visible in business, or if you're a leader, making yourself more visible as a leader in an organization. But one of the things that I don't often talk enough about is self-publishing a book. So back in 2015, I wrote my first book. But the crazy thing about it is, for at least 2 years before I wrote my book, I wanted to write the book, but every time I start writing the book, I would, have writer's block, right? I write 2 pages and then everything else would crumble, right? And so finally, when I made up in my mind and I made a commitment, and I made a decision that this is what I wanted to do, the sky was the limit. I basically wrote the book in less than 30 days. I had tremendous opposition happening around me and my family, things that were going on the job. And I was able to birth this book. I was able to tell my story, to get my story out there, because one thing that I understood is that I had a story to tell. And that's just like every last one of you that is on this webinar, at this summit, that are listening in, if you're watching, however it is that you are connecting, you have a story to tell. I like to say that everyone has at least one book in them, right? There's something, there's some skill that you have, there's some expertise, there's some things that that come naturally to you, or maybe you've learned it through experience. And there's other people that need to know that. There's other that needs to understand that needs to have, all of the things that you learned, whether it was through a success or through a failure. Others need to understand that, because that can become a blueprint as well as a roadmap for them. And so again, thank you guys for joining. I want to talk just a little bit about really what self-publishing a book can do for you, right? How it can really just expand your platform as well as your visibility. And then the really big key thing is your profits, right? That income that's coming in. And so let me just expand this here, and I just share this with you guys. So self-publish a book to grow your visibility as well as your profits. And so I'm going to tell you 3 reasons why self-publishing a book, why you need to self-publish a book. Why is it important? And I say the first thing is because when you self-publish a book, or self-publishing is a great way to hone your brand message, right? The message that you're bringing to the world. You're forced, when you're writing a book and you're going through that process, one thing that it forces you to do is to really think and build clarity around your platform. Throughout the entire writing process, right? It's going to force you to be concise. It's going to force you to be clear. It's going to force you to be effective at communicating, right? And that's going to be important, because it helps to bring and to niche down the message that you're delivering to the audience, to the individuals that are going to buy this book, the individuals who are going to follow you because of this book. And that's pretty important, right? So you have to decide what's most important for you to share with that audience, because you've taken the time to understand who that audience is, And you also understand what their struggles are, right? What are the things that they're facing? What are the challenges that they are having? What are the things that, that keep them up at night and don't allow them to be as effective as, could actually be? So you want to definitely hone in on your message through that self-publishing process, right? The other thing is, one thing that clarity is going to do for you, clarity is going to allow you to really, it's going to allow the people that hear the message to really see themselves in your story. And that's so powerful, right? That's so powerful in the sense that it's going to connect them, right? The clearer your message is, it connects that audience to your message, because what they're going to be able to see is they're going to be able to see themselves, and they're going to see themselves in the story that you're telling through the book that you've written. They're going to be able to see their failures, their successes. They're going to see their way out if there's a struggle that they're dealing with, or if they're stuck in something. They're going to be able to see their way out, right? It invites them to join the journey with you, to say, hey, we're linked up in this thing, and we're going to really do this journey together, and we're going to walk this journey together, and we're going to build this entire system around this message, around this platform. We're going to create a movement that's going to be unstoppable, right? It's going to be something that is totally believable, because you're having people that connect based simply on your message, based on that book that you're writing and that story that you're telling, right? Because, in the midst or in the lack of clarity, there's confusion. And wherever you have confusion, you're going to have people that's going to scatter. They're not going to know what to do, right? One of the things that a book does for you, I use it as a leadership tool as well, because it helps people understand, what you're offering them and where you're leading them to, where you actually taking them. And that's what everybody wants to be led. I don't care who you are, right? It can be the president of a country. Everybody wants to be led. Everybody wants to know what's the next thing to do. And that's when we have to have the brave individuals like myself, step up and say, hey, I can show you what to do. In fact, I've put it in this book. This is actually just a picture of my book here. I put it in this book, and you need to go and just read it, right? And it's going to give you the step-by-step process. So that's the first thing, right? Self-publishing a book will allow you to really hone in on your message. One of the other things that I did as I wrote my book, coming out of I was in a year-long coaching program, and leaving that program, I remember my coach telling me that that as soon as I wrote my book, when I would write my book, I would really understand what my brand was, right? It was going to help me to really hone that in. And what it has allowed me to do is really step into what my current business model looks like, where I'm connecting with, not just with women that want to be empowered, because I'm not that person, right? I did that for years, and that wasn't profitable. And then it really was exhausting, because what I found is that, I was speaking to these women and they were not taking action. So that's not what, that was the business model that did not work for me. But what I found now, by me writing my book and honing in on my message, it allowed me to really find who my audience was, right? And it's really women leaders. It's those women who are taking action every single day. They're unstoppable. They're finding solutions. They're very solution and results driven. They're driven by helping other people and being surrounded by, solid communities. That's who my market is, right? That's who my target audience is. And that writing that book has actually helped me to hone my message. And so it can definitely do the same for you. The second thing as to why you should publish a book, and this one is pretty awesome, is that you really get an opportunity to really elevate your expert status, right? And your influence, right? For me, one of the things that I recently did this year, and actually this was published in last month in November, is, there is this international diversity magazine that, because I had built the confidence in my writing skills by writing a book and staying consistent with I and writing, for a magazine column, I decided that I wanted to submit an article. Or actually, I reached out in LinkedIn and I asked the editor, do they ever look for, for pieces? Do people send in articles to include in their magazine? And she said yes. And so we connected, and we didn't immediately, join forces, but eventually I got an email from her saying, would you like to write a column for our Women's Rising issue of, of the magazine? And I was like, awesome. Yes, absolutely. And so I wrote this article. And because, like I told you guys, I'm an engineer by profession, it talked about pioneering women and the gateway to getting more women into Black women into engineering. And so I wrote this article, and when the magazine was published in November, it came out. I took a snippet of the article and I posted it on LinkedIn, and it got major traction. I think we may have had like over 5,000 views of the article. But basically, what it ended up doing is it immediately started connecting me to individuals who were looking for what I was offering, right? So I increased all of these, I increased my numbers with my LinkedIn connections, but also I started getting, messages, DMs about, leads, people wanting to connect. I got job offers from actually writing and publishing this article in this international magazine. But one of the bigger things though was I got a phone call from the editor, the person who owned the magazine, and they basically offered me a job to be a part of the writing team for the magazine, where I get to interview all of these high profile individuals, right? So not only will I be getting paid, to write these articles because I built my confidence in my writing skills, but I also get to network and rub shoulders or elbows with the very individuals that's my market, right, for my consulting business. So you definitely want to self-publish a book so that you can elevate your expert status as well as your influence. And then let me tell you the third thing as to why you want to self-publish your book. It's because you can increase your income. And that is so important in business, to make sure that you have some type of income, supporting, your business model, and you growing your bottom line. So book sales is really a part of my marketing strategy. Is just one of the buckets money buckets that's in my business. And so I do get an opportunity to sell books online. But what I really like when it comes to me selling my books, because I have an arm of my business where I do a lot of public speaking and I go into arenas, with 100, 200, 400 people, is a great opportunity for me not only to get the fee for the speaking, but also to use their education budget. And as I get a request for speaking, right on my request for speaking form, I have a section that said, would you like Eryka to do a book signing? Yes or no? And then it says, would you like to pre-order books for your conference attendees? And so not only do I get the speaker's fee, but in a lot of cases, you'll have the organizations, the meeting planners that will say, yes, we'd like to order the books. And, if I'm selling, books by a case, like, that's pretty good profit, right? So that's basically how I use books in my business, is that I use them more so, not just the, one-on-one sales, which I do that, and I'm very appreciative for that. But I love to add that on to my speaking bucket, where I go in and I do an incredible presentation, and I'm set up in the back of the room, and people come and they buy my books, and I have conversations, I take pictures, I meet with media, and have conversations. And so that's a very good way to really increase your income, is by self-publishing your book and selling that book, making that a part of your speaking package if you are a speaker, which I hope that most of you are, that are in business as a leader, that you're also a speaker, whether you're using one of the live streams, whether it's like Facebook Live, Instagram Live. These are all opportunities for you to connect with your audience and to sell your books, right? You get up and you get on Facebook Live, or you get on LinkedIn and you Periscope and you scope, and then you do a call to action where you share with them your book. Some people also make it like a standalone business, right? Some people make an entire business out of their books. So, they may do workshops, centered around their books. They're going to do coaching programs centered around their books. They're going to continue to have speaking engagement. They may even create other products and services. It's all just kind of based on what are the things that you're good at, right? And what do you feel like is going to help your business grow to really increase your income. So I have this incredible mentor, and her name is Dr. Kimberly Ellison. And when I wrote my book back in 2015, I remember her telling me, and she was a very strong supporter of me getting out there. I actually did an author event, a book signing, and a reading at Barnes and Nobles here in Montana, Billings, Montana, when we moved from Houston, Texas area to here in Billings. And I had my daughter scoping in the author event, and she was there supporting me, Dr. Kimberly, and asking questions and just really being a big support. And I remember she and I having a conversation, and she was like, we were talking about her writing a book, and there were two things that she said to me that really stuck with me. And she said, I don't think I have content. Like, I have no idea what to write about. And then the other thing she said is, I'm not a good writer. And immediately I said to her, I was like, you grace the stages of so many companies and organizations and conferences, and you host so many of your own events. Like, there's tons of content that you have just in the presentations, the speaking engagements, and the presentations that you do. Take that content and convert it into a book. Like, you have everything that you need. And so this message is for you guys as well. You have everything that you need. We just need to distill it down, make sure it makes sense, and put it in the book. And so she was so afraid to really just step out, and she really lacked the confidence around writing her book. Well, don't you know, when she finally made her mind up and she stepped out and she wrote the book, actually she wrote 3 books in a matter of 8 months, right? And released all of these books. And actually she self-published these all herself, right? She learned the process. And she self-published all 3 of these books. And so now today, actually in January, she's going to be actually releasing the new arm of her company, which is Sparkle Publishing. So me and her are actually going to team up, and we're looking to help at least 100 women become authors next year. We want you to get your story out. We want you to tell your story. We want others to really be able to see themselves in your journey and link up and come alongside of you and really build a strong community. We want to help you just be more visible in your business, in your leadership journey, and what it is that you bring to the world. So let me just talk with you just a second, and then I'll share the very last thing, and then I'll take some questions. So just like Dr. Kimberly, her struggle was, it was really writer's block. The fact that, she felt like she didn't have any content. And then the other part of it was confidence. For me, it was the fact that I really lacked the confidence. And because I lacked the confidence, it induced and it manifested through the way of writer's block. So there's some number like 3 million people who want to write books every single year, and I can imagine there's probably not that many that really succeed because they think about the regular publishing process and how it can be very tedious, how you only do proposals and you may get rejected several times, how it can be very costly, but they may not necessarily think about doing the self-publishing way. But I had an opportunity to ask the ladies in my community, as well in Dr. Kimberly's community, what were some of the struggles that they face when it comes to the self-publishing process, right? And it did not surprise me, guys, that I saw that over 50% of the people, of the women that we talked to, said it was writer's block. Whether they didn't know what to write about, what their topic was, they would start writing a book and then they wouldn't finish it. They would stop. They didn't have enough time. It was all of these excuses feeding into writer's block, right? And they also said publishing, not knowing who to use as a publisher or knowing the publishing process. But we also heard about book mechanics, not knowing how to put the book together. Once I write, what are the things that I'm supposed to add into the book? And then the other part of it was like the cost. How much does it really cost to print and publishing costs? But also when it comes to marketing your book, I'm great, I can write a book, but after I've written a book, how do I get it out there, right? And so because there was just such a strong, the women were speaking, and it was such a strong presence that says writer's block is one of the biggest concerns for us. We decided that we were going to create something that was going to help with that, right? And so I want to just introduce you ladies to Unblock Your Writing. This is a free masterclass that I will be hosting along with Dr. Kimberly Ellison. We're going to be hosting this free masterclass called Unblock Your Writing, and it's going to really focus on helping you overcome writer's block so that you can consistently write and complete your book, right? So we're going to help you with developing a writing strategy that fits specifically for you. A lot of the women said they struggled with finding the time to write, right? We're going to help you understand how to prioritize writing into your everyday busy schedule. We're going to help you remove some of the blocks with some very simple exercises, some very simple tips that's going to really, at the end of the day, help you just start in that process of writing your book. So I want you guys to go to unblockyourwriting.com, unblockyourwriting.com, and sign up for a free masterclass that's happening in January. It's actually January the 23rd. It's going to be in the evening time, Eastern Standard Time. I want you guys to go to the landing page to just take a look at the things that we're covering, and then to get yourself signed up, because I want to help you for next year, for 2018, just really just expand your platform and increase your visibility so that you will also increase your profits and you will get your story out there, right? Let me help you become an author through the self-publishing process, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and see if we have any questions.
Thank you so much. See it?
Okay, awesome. So looks like there is a question. So how do you decide on a topic when you have so many ideas? Is that for the book publishing? I think it is.
Yes.
And I think it really ties back to that same question that was asked to Dr. Princess Fumi Hancock. Like, when you're great at so many things, how do you really hone in? So I would say pick one topic, but what I would encourage you to do is to really test that topic, right? Ask the people that that are in your community, right? I'm sure if you have a business, you have a market, you have an email list, you have people that are following you on Facebook or following you in LinkedIn, following you on Instagram. Ask them what's their biggest struggle, right? And you want to make sure you form the question, and maybe you put A, B, or C. You want to make sure you form the question such that you already know what the answer is, right? If you know there's 3 things that you can write about, put those three things as your, the multiple choice answers, right? Your A, B, or C, those very top three things that you know that you can deliver on with writing a book. And then let them tell you if that's something, that they're interested in, if that's something that they need. One of the other things is to check out, Google Trends. Put your topics in there. See what kind of traction, are people searching the internet looking for information for this. Also, go to Amazon. Go into Amazon, into the book area. Type in the topic that you're looking for. Look at the books that's already written on the topic. Look for the ones that has the most reviews and see what's some of the feedback that the people that have purchased the book, what are they actually saying, right? What are some of the questions? What are some of the things that they're saying? And you use all of that information to really, make a decision as to what you should have as your topic. Okay, and so another question says, where do we purchase your book? So you can definitely go to my website, erykatjohnson.com/book. You can get the book Own Your Life. I didn't really tell you guys too much about it, but basically what this is a practical guide, and it's for women in particular, but it's a practical guide to personal leadership. Being a star with no excuses. It's going to tell you how to find the clarity, the confidence, as well as the courage that you need to lead not only in your life, but which we need to start there first, right? With personal leadership, we need to lead well in our own lives, but how that really then flows over to you leading others and leading a movement. And so you can go to my website, erykatjohnson.com/book, and you can pick the book up there. If you are out of the country, you should definitely go to Amazon and just type in Own Your Life, Eryka T. Johnson, and you can get it on Amazon, but you can also get it on Barnes & Noble as well.